So, 6.2 recently came out, and Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker has been out for almost a whole year now. Yes, I know it's September and Endwalker came out in December, but I'm too lazy to write "Is Reaper still good after 9 months?" because that's too wordy and, well, that sounds like something else entirely. Alright, so yeah, ever since it was announced that FanFest of May 2021, I've been absolutely dying to play it, despite my previous predictions of the class being Templar. And yeah, and my past rantings of scythes being stupid and impractical weapons, but when I saw Yoshi P enter the stage with scythe in hand, garbed in black clothes, ready to fight against the Scourge and the old blood that has befelled the city of Yarn. I'm sorry, I've been playing too much Bloodborne. It was love at first sight. I mean, cool edgy clothes, a flashy scythe, flashy abilities, Dark Knight but as a melee DPS, and because Dark Knight actually sucks now. Well, at least until 6.1. I was sold on Reaper, and it converted me into a scythe lover. Seriously, I'm not joking here. And then, when Endwalker finally came out, it was everything I could have asked for and more. Well, for the most part, but let's rewind a bit to the distant year of 2020. Wait, no, I've already done that joke before. Let's rewind back to Endwalker's launch. There, so I'm not that unoriginal. So, one of the things I first noticed more about Reaper is how different it feels compared to the other melee DPS classes in terms of its playstyle and functionality. So, you know how most of the melee DPS function to the point where you use your OGCDs and your special abilities in between weapon combos? For Reaper, in order to play it optimally, you actually have to focus on using your OGCD and special abilities as you build up your soul gauge and shroud gauge, and do your combos while you wait for those abilities to cool down. Now, I thought that was a pretty interesting concept, and I feel like it also adds a bit of flexibility to the job, especially when abilities such as Soul Slice, Shadow of Death, or any of the Avatar or Enshroud abilities don't interrupt your combo actions. And another thing to note is that Reaper is considered to be one of the more selfish melee DPSs in Final Fantasy XIV, focusing way more on raw damage output. Kinda. Well, it focuses on doing their own damage instead of offering support, although they do have some small amount of utility with Arcane Crest and Arcane Circle, which some of the boomers here might recognize them as Dark Knight abilities from Final Fantasy XI. Same with a lot of the names for Reaper's abilities, but I'm getting off topic. So, I wouldn't say they're as selfish as Samurai, but in terms of what they give and what they take, they're very similar to Monk in the sense where they're focused more on their own damage output, but they do have a small bit of utility as well. And as I began to level up Reaper more and more and unlock new abilities, particularly Enshroud, the more and more I began to love the job and its playstyle. Seriously, the second I popped that ability in Zadnor and got to see my character Enshroud for the first time, I just could not stop thinking how fucking incredible and cool and edgy it looks. Although I just find it's a little bit ironic that you unlock Enshroud after finishing the Reaper questline, which explains why you shouldn't let a Void Send control your body. And speaking of, while it may be short, I did really enjoy the Reaper job storyline. While it definitely was no Dark Knight, I would dare say it's comparable to something like Ninja or Dragoon in the terms of quality of writing, so I'm going to get into some spoiler territory here. I really like the Reaper job quest, and the job quest trainer, Drusilla, has gotta be probably one of the most likable job trainers I've played alongside the Dark Knight and Ninja characters. And while they could have elaborated more on the history of the job, which Reaper decided not to, like the chads that they are, the questline does a good job at shedding light about Garlemald and its people. Particularly the ones that fled to Eorzea, which is great because a lot of the subject matter in the story gets brought up again in the Endwalker MSQ, so it's great to have this knowledge beforehand. And plus, the final fight against Orcus when the Endwalker dungeon mid-boss theme starts playing was fucking epic, especially since that was the first time I heard it in-game. And it just got even more epic when Drusilla joins the fight, despite losing a goddamn eye, and you throw her scythe to her, which she smoothly catches it, and slashes Orcus across his bitch stomach, like the badass two-eyed Granny Garlean edgelord she is. So, with a stylish and flexible playstyle, a badass job design, and a good job storyline, I pretty much needed no other job in the game. Until I decided I didn't want to wait 10 minutes for an expert roulette. But now that Reaper has been out for almost a year and players have had the chance to play Reaper and get accustomed to the job, has my thoughts changed? Yes and no. So allow me to break Reaper tradition and elaborate further. So, I still have a lot of fun playing Reaper. It's still easily my favorite melee DPS in the game. However, do I think it's the perfect job? Not quite, so I'll explain some of my gripes. While this may be a bit of a nitpicky personal issue, I'm honestly just not a huge fan of the designs for most of the scythes in the game. Now, a lot of them look rather impractical. Yes, I know I'm saying that about a tool designed for farming, but some of the designs just look kinda bland or goofy, or not even looking like they would even fit Reaper. Well, I do feel like most of the new jobs they've introduced since Shadowbringers have this issue, where there's only a handful of designs I actually like. This is more of a personal issue, I guess. And then there are the designs of some of the maiming sets they've introduced since Endwalker that look like they fit Dragoon more so than Reaper. Now, this is part of the downside of having a class with a different theme share gear sets with another. Except for the Cripplerker set, which looks fucking awesome on both. Let me provide an example. You have the Radiant Host set, which looks really nice, but it looks like it's tailored to Dragoon way more, which makes sense for the Thavnarian Guard worshipping a dragon as their ruler and all of that. Or you have the Lunar Envoy gear looking a bit more holy in terms of aesthetics. Now, I do realize this all can change in the near future, and it took a while for Samurai to get some striking sets that actually look like something a Master Swordsman would wear. But more importantly, the gameplay. Now, while I did mention I enjoy the general flow of the job, my only real complaint is how easy Reaper feels at times. Like, the fact that there's almost no positionals, Reaper is super forgiving even if you mess something up. And I was hoping for Reaper to be a more challenging job to play, especially since none of the melee DPSs are particularly challenging to play, except for maybe Monk, but even then they made it easier in Endwalker and Ninja. Well, Ninja used to be a challenging job, but they've got rid of so many of the abilities to the point where they've gutted the job harder than Yotsuyu gutted Asahi. And recently, I've been leveling Dragoon as my second melee DPS in Endwalker, since I figured that would make the most sense since it shares gear with Reaper. And honestly, I've been having a lot of fun with it too, and I figured that could be a fun job to play when I get bored of Reaper at times, since, like I mentioned, Ninja is gutted, Samurai is kill, because Kaiten is now kill, and I still haven't the slightest clue on how to play Monk, and sometimes I just don't always feel like playing a tank. So, overall, I still really like Reaper, and I can see myself continuing to main it for the foreseeable future. It's honestly a really fun job with a cool-ass aesthetic, a great job story, pretty decent balance. While it could use a bit of a buff in the damage department, I guess it evens it out considering how broken it was at launch. I'm still having a lot of fun with Reaper, but that's where I'm gonna wrap things up. Anyways, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Be sure to comment down below whether or not you picked up Reaper or Sage in Endwalker, and how you're feeling about the job now that a year is passed. Be sure to subscribe for more gaming content. I primarily make Final Fantasy XIV videos, although I love to branch out and make other stuff as well. Follow my socials, link down below, and I will see you guys later. I love you all. Umbruhh out!